Hello and welcome back to House of Papillons. I'm so glad you stopped in to see what we have in store today. So we're continuing our sort of series that I'm calling Back to Basics. And we started off in January with a garnet gemstone, which is the birthstone for January babies. We did a very basic pour. We talked about the very beginning of how to begin resin art. And we mixed a 1-to-1 resin. I talked about bubble removing, which incidentally, my bubble remover is doing its thing right now. So that's probably what you hear in the background if you hear something. We talked about preventing bubbles, trying to prevent bubbles as best you can. We talked about pigments and how to mix them. We did some inks and some alcohol inks in this one. Next, in February, we did the amethyst, and each month I'm going to teach another skill that you can add in to basic resin, your basic resin pour. In February, we learned how to do a gradient pour. So we started out with a very pale color. We did an even darker color and an even darker color on the bottom. We did 3 layers. So that turned into a beautiful likeness of an amethyst. And then in March, I can't believe it's April already, but in March we did the aquamarine, this gorgeous pale blue stone, and we added, I taught how to add inclusions into your resin. I taught one way to add inclusions. There are dozens of ways, but we did a very basic thing. We put real aquamarine stones into this to create beautiful likeness of an aquamarine. Now it's April, and where's the year going? This month, I obviously the birthstone for April is the diamond, and one would think, so pour a bunch of clear resin and go on with life. Yes, I could have done that, but I want to make it a little more diamond-like. And when you look at diamonds, when you really look at them and you turn them in the light, they have little flickers of colors, and they're not just plain old clear. The facets and things that that jewelers put into the stone, or the way they carve the stone, it allows little flickers of other colors to come up through. Now, I don't want it to be iridescent. I don't want it to be a completely different color of iridescence. So I went through a bunch of different options, and the way I've decided to try to do this is to use a film. Now, if you've been watching resin, I'm quite positive you have seen people put this film type of stuff into different projects. This is called Angelina fusible film. I believe I got this on Amazon. I have several in my stash. I'm going over here to find. I have several in my stash, different films. This is much thicker than the Angelina fusible film. And what I did was I went around my craft room. I found just a ton of stuff that I have, and went through, like, what would it look like if it was sort of slanted, in a background. As you can see, this starts out sort of blue, but depending on the way the light hits it, if you look at it from these angles, you might see an orange or a purple or a pink or something. And that's sort of what I'm going for, because this I'm going to place down into the piece, and it's going to be down here where these facets are. So, looking up through is where the facets around, hopefully, are going to let glimmers, just little flickers of other colors, come up through there, but it'll still be mostly clear. So I decided to go ahead with this Angelina film. I don't know if you can see. I hope you can see. But this has almost the film itself has almost stripes of colors. So I'm going to try to cut this way instead of this way, which would make the stripes go down. I want the stripes to go across because that I think is going to bring more colors as you know as you look at the stone. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to peel this tape off. This is how the company sends the different films because they're not that big. I think I must have used a little bit of this because I think it might come just a little bit longer. These are tiny little pieces that you use sort of sparingly. This color is called Opal Fire. I do have a little envelope full of a bunch of different colors. So what I'm going to do, I need 8. Wait a minute. I need to move you. Oh, by the way, one thing I didn't say, I already filled this with clear up to there. You probably can see where it's filled. I figured we've already done, this is now the 4th. You don't need to see me do a clear layer and pour it down. And it's pretty clear what I did. So I figured, let's just skip to the fun stuff, and that way you don't have to go through that. So I'm gonna fold this in 3s. Well, I already missed one of the steps I wanted to do, but I will do that in a second. I'm just gonna press it down. This film is sometimes not, it's really weird. You handle it with kid gloves so that you don't damage it, and then while you're handling it or whatever, you'll get little marks in it and stuff. It's a little frustrating, but that's not straight. Ugly. Okay, so origami is not, that would not be in my wheelhouse, would it? Maybe this isn't square in the first place. Might not be. I'm just kind of smushed its way down. Now, what I'm going to do is try to cut these pieces so that they fit this irregular shape. It's not a definite square. It's not a triangle. I'm gonna mark it so that I can do a bunch of layers together. So I would have 3 pieces cut at the same time. And I'm gonna mark it. And also, they don't have to be perfect. They do not have to be perfect. If they don't meet at joins, that's not a big deal. That's not what we're going for at all. I'm just trying to have most of this covered, or a piece in most of the area. Whoops, I want to go down a little bit, and I'm gonna mark them with mark it with a Sharpie. Now, believe it or not, like I figured, it's see-through. It's not that easy to see. But I'm going to go for it anyway. I'm trying to at least hold my finger there so I can tell where it's supposed to go. Okay, come on. It's really hard to see for sure. But this does not have to be exact. Which is good for me, huh? How far is it? Okay, roughly there. Doesn't help that I have shaky carpal tunnel hands either. But it is what it is. So since I have it folded like this, and by the way, when you use this stuff, always put your scraps else, you know, in a little envelope or something, because you just never know when you're going to have a project that might need one little piece of something in there. You know what I mean? This I keep trying to not be out of the camera shot. I apologize. But working with this film, once you mark it with a Sharpie like I did, just one little swipe with some alcohol will take it off of there. So you're not gonna permanently mark anything. So, you know, this one on top, I could actually use that if I wanted to. Now, I'm going to try to go like from the point to the point a little more straight than I drew it, because obviously it was hard to do while holding it. But what I am doing, I'm squeezing this with very firmly, because I don't want these to come apart just yet. It's very shiny. I hope you can see it. It's kind of hard for me to see with all the shininess. And hold them together as best I can. I just use my little scissors because they're probably sharper than my big scissors. There's a little loose piece. Okay, I hope I got them apart nicely. So there's our little piece. And what I'm going to do, once we get resin in here for this bottom portion, I'm going to be putting them in here and butting them up against the wall. I hope you can see down in there. I have mixed our next layer, our final layer really, and I put it through the bubble machine. Now, lately, because it's winter, oh, the joys of winter and resin, I've been having a time with bubbles, but I also just did the collaboration with Glitz and Glitter with and Andy from CCUK, where I had to do wood and resin, and the thing was full of bubbles, and I was just like, I had to do it. So I poured it in, and it ended up being fine. It was clear, clear as could be when it was all said and done. So we're just going to go for that. So I'm not filling it. I'm just getting resin in there so that we can fool around with these pieces of Angelina film. So what I'm going to do now, there's going to be a tutorial coming up in October for the opal, and we're going to be putting some tiny pieces of this multicolored film on different parts of the mold, and you can go in while the mold is dry without any resin and put glitter and all kinds of really, really flimsy things like this. The reason that I want to coat this before I put it up against the mold is because this is quite large. If you do glitter and things like that, for the most part, the resin will seep behind it and be kind of solid. But if I were to put this just in there up against the mold, because it'll hold, the molds are very very clingy. They're very, there's a lot of static cling that goes along with it. So if I were to put this in there and just let it sit and then pour my resin in, there's a chance that in a spot or two, there might be a spot that where the resin doesn't make it behind the film, and you'll have a hole there. You'll have a hole of resin, where there's no resin. So we're going to alleviate that possibility. And I'm going to just I'm just putting it down in there, giving it a little dunk. And it might be easier to see if I just do it on the side instead of all the way up here. I probably wouldn't be able to see it to place it. And I'm going to ever so gently, try to press these bubbles out a little bit. The bubbles that might be behind it. Press them out. I don't know how successful we will be with that. May have bubbles behind it. I don't think it's going to be that noticeable, frankly. Okay, I hope that you can see that we can see where it, it's there. It's up against because it's a different color. There's a blue and a nothing, right? So I'm just gonna, because I don't feel like messing with alcohol to get that ink off. It works, trust me. It works. And I'm gonna give it a dunk in the resin. And just pull it up and place it where we want. One hopes. And I'm just trying, it does seem to be, I'm looking down, like from, way down. I wonder if you can see it. Can you see it down? I don't want to tilt it, but so much because I've got resin in there, but I wanted you to be able to see what we're doing. Now, this is sticking up. I may, after we're finished, go in and trim that off. Because, to tell you the truth, I don't know how far that's going to stick up. When I look at it from the side, it doesn't look like it will be too much more than what our regular doming is going to do. But I don't know. So why not just, take problems out of the equation and just do it, trim it. Now I'm making sure that my tweezers do not touch the inside of my mold because these are metal. They could scratch, right? So you always take care of your mold and make sure that you're not scraping up against it. But where I'm pushing behind that film. So it's not my tweezers are not touching the mold. They are only scooching the film around. Now, one thing I'm going to do, I do see bubbles on the top of this thing there, the middle part. I'm going to run my heat tool, maybe even down in there. Just going to pour the rest. Let me see if I have you on camera. I do. And I'm not going to quite dome it. I have to take it over to another table where it will sit to cure. So I will see you when it cures. Our diamond is cured. As you can see, our workbench is a mess. I apologize. Let's see. Sometimes when they're domed like this, they're hard to get started. So just trying to get it started. Come on. I'm going to go all the way around it. You'd think this mold, I'd be just dashing right through it by now. It looks kind of bubble free so far. Makes me a happy camper. Okay, I think we got everything loose. And piece of glitter or something. There's our inside stuff. So far, I don't feel any place where there might be, where it's not covered. Feels covered. Okay, I'm going to keep it upside down. Remember, right side up is the money shot. I'm going to fix my mold first. Remember, always fix your mold before you admire your work because it's important. All right, let's hope we got a diamond. Oh, look at it. Can you see the colors dashing? Wow. Let me, so we're getting a lot of blue off of here. Let me see if I can get white up under there. And we are getting a lot of blue from that that film, the Angelina film. But I am seeing, look at those colors when you go like that. See the colors up in there? It's interesting that, you know, that had so much blue in it, and it is reflecting blue from the outside. But I imagine that with any, you know, in any light situation in a room, that depending on which way you see how when I just turn it, it'll reflect different things up, you know, in here. It's, to me, it's better than had I just done clear. I really do. I really am pleased. Let me know what you think in the comments, please. And like and subscribe, please, if you have a minute. And that way we get to see each other more often. I appreciate you watching if you've been here since the beginning. And go back and revisit these molds too. These projects, because, you know, it gives you, it's a totally different way to do projects with basically the same materials. And I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.